question is, what organizations in Toronto Hydro, and then I'll ask Bruno the same question for Hydro One, but which organizations are behind your asset management work? They wanted to specifically know if the CIO's office was involved. And I'd like you to extend that too and tell me, how has this changed your relationship with the executives and their relationship with their strategic planning, this ability to have this objective information? Does it change their planning, and does it change your ability to influence what's done from where you sit? So how is your group constructed? What parts of the organization are part, and how has it changed the relationship to the executive boardroom?
I think it has brought us closer because we're able to provide them more upfront with information that is a stronger justification. We are rate filing, which we do yearly. We use these tools to help us determine what needs to be built and what needs to be have expenditures on, and so that helps us in that relationship for sure. And as well, there are always more KPIs or metrics that we need to showcase, and I think there's also another thing that when you develop something, some tool or something like that showcases certain things, you automatically open up questions for further enhancement. So that also brings us in continuous improvement.
And Thor, I remember you mentioning to me that you had kind of a committee approach, yes, in terms of getting this project off the ground?
Yes, we have. So we've looked at it. We put people together, and specifically in some of the other initiatives, for instance, on the Past 55, we've gone across the corporation because that's absolutely necessary. For you to get anywhere as an asset management corporation, you need to be across the corporation, not just in asset management.
And is there any key departments or individuals that really need to be on this team?
For me, always it's the field. And people that work out in the field are in it. They're closest to our assets. They need to be very comfortable with what we're doing. They need to be. They need to know that they're able to affect the decision by telling us about things that are happening. And very often, when you sit in your office and are planning and think things are great, you don't really know until you have been out there and talked to them.
So I'm going to ask Bruno to answer these questions, but before we do that, Thor, has it changed your relationship with regulators? Have you been able to see that yet, this objective and, in some cases, proactive information?
I think so. It's hard for me to judge maybe from one side, but I think here we have a very good relationship with the regulator, and we feel that they're comfortable with that. We're doing prudent asset management and prudent decision making. So we definitely have that comfort, and we believe they have as well.
So Bruno, from at Hydro One, how were things organized? Which departments and members made up? Was the CIO involved, and has it changed your relationships to the executive suite or to the regulator?
Absolutely, and that's yes to all of the above. And basically, the CIO is involved. Asset management are the owners of the asset analytics, but the CIO has been fully engaged and is very supportive of this initiative. And as Thor suggests, it's also very important for the field to be on board, and they're quite interested in this, and they hope that it's going to basically bear fruit for them, because up until now, as I mentioned in the presentation, it's always been, we're collecting mounds and mounds of data, but the feedback is never there. So for now, we're actually giving the feedback. We're showing them what it really means and how the part of the work that they're carrying out is important to the overall business. And from the regulator perspective, it is getting more difficult to get money from the regulator, and we need to make sure that the investments we are making are prudent and they're defensible. So in order to do that, we also are following Past 55, and it's one of the motivations for doing this is to drive that consistent decision making. And to that end, we're embedding a lot of the analytics inside the processes, and it's going to drive out the future spending envelopes based on the results that we're getting back.
We are getting a number of questions about technologies, which we'll come back to at the very end and ask our expert panels some of those. But and I did want to bring Paul Yarka back to kind of wrap things up and kind of maybe give us a picture of where we might be going next. Paul, welcome back.
Thank you, Jesse. I'd like to round out the discussion today on the utility decision environment of the future. We've seen some really good things from Bruno and Thor and the activities at Hydro One and Toronto Hydro. I must emphasize that we see our utility clients' real-time analytics and their business intelligence efforts headed beyond their asset management process and capabilities, such as pictured in this slide and highlighted by Thor and Bruno. These types of data-driven decision environments are being architected right now across other and entire utility enterprises. So the increasing richness and the volume of information being used by leaders like Hydro One and Toronto Hydro is really broadening to enterprise scale. It's broadening to include all utility processes, all levels of the organization, from the operational, Thor mentioned and Bruno mentioned the importance of the field, to the management, and to the executive levels. We have even seen industry innovations where utilities are evolving their control rooms to become decision centers. So picture a next generation control room where operators and engineers sit side by side. They're operating the network, and simultaneously they're monitoring major equipment across the network. And together they're making real-time asset planning and asset decisions on grid equipment. So envision them, for example, deciding based upon a condition of the network to reduce load on an individual transformer due to its health index or due to its eroding condition, and all this happening on a real-time basis. So the fact of the matter is, what we're seeing here in this slide, what we've heard from Thor and Bruno, is these next-generation real-time decision centers are being implemented by utility industry innovators as we speak today. So with that, Jesse, I'd like to turn it back to you and see what we can do in terms of getting some of the questions answered.
Yeah, well, let me ask one of you, because I'm real curious. You know, at SmartGridNews, we monitor North America and to a lesser extent the rest of the world. And so I'm curious, how does what's being done here in Canada compare to Europe, the rest of the world? And if this is, let's say, a 10-step journey to this destination that you just described, where are most utilities? Are they at stage 1 or are they stage 5? Give me a sense of how this compares.